So it has started. Yeah, so where we left is basically the business unit. Okay, so I'll just start from this. So hope we are good with this thing, that is the structure. Okay,
Yeah.
so now we have created till this point, that is we have created the legal entity and the primary ledger, and we have associated it, and the related setups that we have seen. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next thing that we have is that creating the business unit. Okay, so the navigation is this. So on the left hand side, so we'll have this organization structure. Okay, so in terms of business unit, so these are the three key configurations that we have. First thing is creating the business unit. Second thing is assigning the business functions, and finally the set assignments. Okay,
Okay.
so first thing here, if we see, so I'm just creating one business unit here. Okay, so let me just check if we created.
Buddy.
Yeah, I think we did not save it, so that's where we left. I think. Yeah, let me.
Yeah, in this default set, it got disconnected.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll just create a new one. Okay. So here, so if you see, so these two are not mandatory. So these are completely optional. So which means that manager, of course, if at all there is a need to associate this particular manager of this location, so I can associate. So let's say this is my sales entity. Okay, so now I what I wanted to do is that, so I have my regional or this particular location manager, so whom I might want to attach or associate to this particular business unit. I can do. So this, when I will do this is that if I want to take a report wherein I wanted to show my manager names
Hello.
also, so wherein they will have this as a contact person. So in terms of invoicing and the other stuffs. Okay, so that is when I'll associate the manager. But if not, this is optional. And the second thing is that the location. So
Okay.
usually we will have this, again this is kind of a reporting thing, but we will not use this in our transaction, because let's say I'm creating this purchase order. Okay, so now I have received the negotiation, and I have awarded this particular negotiation to the supplier too, and I'm converting this RFQ to purchase order. I'm giving this purchase order to this supplier. Okay, so now if I'm giving this or as an email to this particular supplier, so I will have some format emails. Let's say on top I'll have my, so that would be my generic email, and then I will have my entity name, and below that entity, the entity meaning this, that is business unit. Okay, so under this I will have the address, the other information. So now if I'm capturing my legal entity address, so I don't need, so that's the reason if you see, only the, this particular thing whenever we are using in asterisk or star, so this is what is mandatory. Okay, but then if I want to capture, I don't want to capture the legal entity address, but I wanted to capture the particular business unit location, so then for India scenario that is not the case. It is the legal entity that we will use with the address and the other things. So business unit name as information we will give it, but not the business unit location we will refer. Okay.
Okay.
So, because that's kind of a legal document that we can use it. So if a particular document is given to vendor or the customer, so that becomes a legal document. So that's the reason we associate our legal entity name instead of business unit name. But let's
Okay.
say the European countries, if we are working with, and they wanted to have the business unit location or the address details in the report or the printed format, so then we can associate the location here. Okay,
Okay.
so now the address creation, it is same as what we created for the legal entity address. So it's the same process. So I'm not attaching or creating this particular location. So I'll just create with this one called a set. So here set meaning reference data set. So now What exactly is reference data set is that so there are two things that I can do. So here, if you see, so I have common set which is given by Oracle, okay, and rest if you see whatever I'm saying here, so those are the custom reference data set that is
Okay.
created by users. So now, what exactly is this reference data set, or how I will use this particular feature is that, so let's say I have let's assume the same scenario. So I mean, we have discussed it, but still, I'm just saying it again. So now I have, let's say, Chennai and Hyderabad. Okay. So now for Chennai, I have customer for three. Okay. Say one, and for Hyderabad again, I'll let's say four, five, and six. So now if I'm using this particular customer, so let's assume that this customer is Hyderabad. So in this that I'll have this as a common set. Okay. But let's say this is not the scenario, but wherein Chennai office will have their own customers or the suppliers, and Hyderabad office will have their own customer or the suppliers. So then I have custom reference data. And when I will use this same have a certain setup. Let's say
Your voice is not coming like some of the words are going and maybe some issue. Microphone is not near or
just give me one minute. Is it better now?
yeah, it is good.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, so here let's assume that there are two business units. So one
Yeah,
is Chennai and the other one is Hyderabad. So
yeah,
now I have taken a scenario wherein I have a requirement wherein the customer one or the vendor one will purchase or sell to Chennai and also to Hyderabad. So in that
okay,
scenario, what I will do is that I'll use common. Sorry, this
okay.
is common.
Mhm.
Common. Okay. So which means I can access this particular vendor in Chennai and also in Hyderabad. But
Okay,
whereas the other scenario, I will not use in a way that this particular customer will purchase it from Hyderabad also, because that involves the transportation cost and the additional charges as well. So now instead of that, if I'm located or doing my business or the operations in Hyderabad, so I will purchase only from the Hyderabad office. So in that case, I don't want to expose this particular customer or the supplier to Chennai office. So to restrict this, what I can do is that basically I can create a custom reference data set, which is going to give me security in terms of having the data controlled at my business unit level. Okay, so this is one thing. And secondly, so what is the use of having this reference data set is that? So let's assume that I have a requirement wherein I wanted to use this advance. So there are certain scenarios wherein if I'm giving advance to this particular vendor, so I will use the purchase order. Okay. So now here, okay, let me just explain this thing. So I have a project. So let's say let's call this as project A. Okay. Now I am incurring some expenses. Okay, so let's say I'm purchasing a machinery. Now for this, vendor is asking for advance of let's say 10,000. Okay, so the total cost is $50,000. Okay, but I have to pay in advance $10,000. So now, if I want to basically pay this, just Yeah, so the scenario is something like this. So let's say I'm doing a project or constructing an IT for a customer. So for this, so I will need certain expenditure to be made. Okay. So now the expenditure that I have taken is that I have taken this particular machinery. Okay. So I'm not, so there are two options that I can go for. So either I can lease this particular machinery or I can purchase it. So lease is something that if I want to use it for a temporary
Okay.
purpose, I will go for a lease option. But this I'm not doing as a temporary work, but this is my actual business wherein I construct building and then I'll sell it to different customers. Okay, so now this machinery I'm not going to use it only for project A. Probably I might use it for project B, C, D, other projects as well. Okay, so now
Okay.
I'm trying to purchase this from let's say supplier A. Okay, so now this supplier A says me that I will have to pay 10,000 in advance. Okay, so now when I pay this particular amount in advance, I don't want to create directly in my payable module. So instead, I wanted to create it through as a purchase order. Okay, so I'll create purchase order for $10,000. So this will tell me the payment terms, which means that so this will tell me when I basically agree to this particular purchase order and invoice this, so I will have to pay $10,000 immediately. Okay, so for this it is 0 days. So now the remaining 50,000. So I will have to pay 20,000, let's say in 10 days. And
Okay.
in the next 2 days, I'll have to, sorry, next, let's say another 10 days. So I'll have to pay the remaining 20,000. Okay, so which means this is my total payment cycle that I'll have to make. If this is handled in accounts payable module, so I don't have any issue in terms of handling this payment because there I can do the breakup and I can make the payment schedules. That is fine. But here, in case of PO matched invoice, so what will happen is that so this advance, so I'll create as a big PO, which means that for this particular amount 50,000, I'll create one purchase order and I will create a payment term which will specify these things. That is, on the first payment, I'll give 10,000, and on the second payment, I'll give 20, and remaining 20 in the last payment. And also, I will specify this is my lead days, that is 10 days for each. So this is how basically my payment cycle will work. So now if I want to basically give this advance to this particular supplier, so then I will have to associate this with my supplier. So now what I will do is that I'll create, let's say for machinery purchase. So I will have to create this. So this we will see when we see the transactions in the system. Okay. But before that, to understand this, so if I want to create this reference set, so how I'm going
Okay.
to use this? Okay. So now this machinery purchase payment term that I'm creating here, so I'll not use only for this particular business unit called what do you call the Chennai. Okay, so I wanted to use it for Hyderabad. I want to use it for Mumbai and the other office as well. So now I'll use this as common, which means that I will just associate this reference data set to this payment method or the payment terms. So then automatically I'll be able to use across all the business if I'm using this common or if I'm using, let's say, the custom one. All I'll do is that I'll just associate the reference data set. So I don't need to do
Okay.
the configurations in the system. So that's the use of basically having this reference data set. So this
Okay.
depends on the business requirement. So how they want to handle this. So basically, accordingly, so you will have to set this particular reference data set. So Mostly we will have the custom reference data set created. Okay, so because there are certain options that I can say this would be custom, this would be common. So I'll just show in the next set of configurations. So where we'll see that.
Okay.
Yeah, for this I'll just create a new one. So new data set. Let me just call this as reference data set. Okay. Yeah, so as the manager and location, I'm not giving right now. Just say save and close. So now the business unit is created. Okay, so the next step is to assign the business functions. So for this, I need to select the scope first. I'll just click this. So the business unit for which I'm setting this business function is so this is the one. I'll just select and do save and close. So now I'll have this business functions. So if you see on the right hand side, I have my financial reporting. So that is what I was referring to here. If you see, so I'm just linking my business unit with my primary ledger so that whatever the transaction that I entered, so in this case, this is the transaction that we saw, but the accounting information we will have is like this. But how system will understand that this is the ledger that I want to use? So that is based on the association that we are making it here. Okay. So just select the one that we created. Okay. Yeah, so this is the one. So now since we have one legal entity that associated with this primary ledger, so directly we are selecting this. But if I have more than one legal entity created or associated with this ledger, I will have to select it from the list of value. Okay. Yeah. Then on the left side, if you see, so we have this business unit functions. This is not specific to the supply chain or the procurement or the order management, but this is common for all the modules. If you see, so even the HCM modules and the sales and all those modules will be there here in this particular screen. So here,
So, Arun,
hmm,
uh, so what you're saying is that creating a business unit is common for all the models, is it?
yeah, creating a business unit is common for all the modules. Because this business unit, I'll use it for my procurement, I will use it for my order management, I will use it for my payables, I'll use it for my receivables, and
Okay.
then the other I mean the other modules as well. I'll use it for all the most of the modules. I'll use this. So it's not only
Okay.
specific to a particular module. So that's why here, if you see, so even for the lease accounting, we have this particular option. And for the material management, that is for the inventory. So I have this. And here, if you see, so I have it for the invoicing, I mean the payables part, that is invoicing and then payment and then procurement and the procurement contracts, all those things. So it will be used for most of the business functions, but what is the business function that I'm going to use is what we will have to list on here.
Okay. So this materials management means I heard it is like in SAP you have module like material
Okay.
management. So
Okay.
what is it like in Oracle here? Material management means it's a inventory management, is it?
In inventory management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So this billing and revenue and all those options we are not using. So I'll just enable only the procurement, order management, inventory, and the finance models like payables and the receivables, because as part of this P2P cycle, so we'll have to also look at our invoice, I mean the procurement till the payment, so how we are doing it as a flow,
Mm.
we'll have to look at it. So for that purpose, I'll uh, enable for only these modules. Okay.
Okay.
Even the expense management will not need it because this is kind of an finance self-service.
Okay. Customer payments.
Yeah, customer payments is nothing but the receivable receipts.
Oh,
Okay, so the payable invoice is nothing but it is part of the P2P cycle, the payable part of invoicing and the payment.
procure to pay cycle to
Yeah,
procurement contract management.
yeah, so I believe these are the ones that we will need. So we have enabled these options. So
How
I'll
do we judge this? Like, how do we decide like these are the ones for which we have to enable the business
yeah, so these are
unit based on the
basically
requirements of it?
yeah, so these are basically based on the subscription again, what business has subscribed for. So let's say
Uh-huh.
business has subscribed only for the procurement and the payables and the GL modules. So for
Mm-hmm.
GL, of course, we will not have the business unit function, but for the procurement and for payables, we will need it. So in this case, what I will do is that, so firstly, I'll enable for procurement, and then if I'm using the contracts, I will use procurement contract, and
Mm-hmm.
of course I'll have the receiving and the requisition. Okay, and then the invoice and the payment. So
Okay.
except these I will not enable any other options.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah, so that is how basically we'll identify. So these are the business functions that we will need.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so this is kind of an AR another thing, so wherein we have advanced revenue management. So for this we will not need that revenue management and the collection. So I have just enabled only these options. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So we have enabled these options, and now if you see here, so I'll just enable. This is my default legal entity that I'm going to use. Okay.
Mm.
So I'll just say save and close. Yeah, it will just it will just give us an information that this particular business unit is associated with this ledger and the legal entity, so whether you want to proceed. So that's what it will ask for. So it's just as an information, it will be populated, so we'll have to just click OK and continue. Okay. Yeah, so the next thing is that manage business unit set assignments. Okay, so set assignments, so this is where basically we control most of the transactions. So now, as I said, so if I want to have this as common, or if I want this as an what do you call the custom one, so this is where basically I define all those options. So now, so this will have almost most of the transactions in the system. But now let's say I am looking for option, and let's say I'm looking for my payment terms, let's say. Okay, so now I will have option here. So for payment terms, I can say this is common. Okay, so if I say common, it is going to work as a common only for the payment terms. But now if I come down, so I will have it for the receivables. So here, if you see, so I will have to use it as an enterprise or something like that. So I can use there. So similarly, the other options as well. So these are specific functions that we have it in the system. So if I want to probably use this reference data set at a function level, so this is where basically I will mention that this is the one that I'm going to use it. Okay. So here you will not have the order management and the procurement related system. So it's more of an control. So the payment terms and the other things is what related to us. So the others are something related to finance. So there are a lot of options. Like if you see the customer account site and those things. So this anyway we'll see when we see the order management session. Okay, so there we'll have to create the customer and we'll have to see how this particular assignment, that is business unit assignment, is impacting there in the customer site association. Okay. So that's about it. So these are basically the standard ones that is given by Oracle. So we'll not be able to add or omit or skip basically. Okay. So even for the location, so since I have associated at my business, so for all the functions, seeing this particular reference data set, that is BP RDS. Okay. So yeah. So if I want to maybe modify, so go ahead and change. Okay, so in terms of business unit, so these are the three key configurations that we have. So now we have created the business unit also. Okay. So this is also done. So the next step is to create the inventory organization. Okay, so I'll just say save and close.
Inventory organization.
Yeah. So inventory we are looking at after procurement, but if I want to create a purchase order, so I will need item. So if I'm creating this item, I will need this inventory organization. So in order to create this procurement or the purchase order, so I will need this inventory organization also created in the system.
Okay.
Okay. Clear or any question?
Yeah, no, I'm.
Okay.
So it's like you have not yet started the procurement, so we are just setting a basement for
Yeah, correct.
the
We are
procurement
just yeah,
models before even we
yeah,
start the configuration.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
you have to use all this data there in this component. So,
Correct, correct. So
okay.
these are basically the prerequisites for us to start the procurement configurations.
Okay. Inventory organization.
Yeah. So
Here we'll set what is inventory organization.
so inventory organization is a place where we store the items in the definition in terms of, to put it in simple words, or let me give me an example. So let's say I'm into FMCG business. Okay, so what I will do as a business is that I manufacture soaps. Okay,
Okay.
so now I will have my procurement. So what I will procure is that, so probably I'll have that
Mhm.
and printing, and then I'll have my labeling, and then I'll have my stickers, and then I'll have my papers. So these are my items to be procured. Okay.
Okay.
So now after this, I will have my also the other items. So let's say the coconut oil,
Mhm.
and then there are other such chemicals that will be added, and using that we'll start our production. So in terms of production, so there will be multiple phases. So this is phase one, and this is phase two, and this is phase three. Okay. So now in the phase one, so what I will do is that, so I will basically mix my raw materials. Okay, mix and prepare. So now after this process is done, so I will have to make this dry. Okay, so there will be a process called drying. Okay, and then adding the dye. So after this, then I will have the second process, that is process two. Let me see. Okay, so here I'm doing this one, so which means that, so this will be in a bulk wherein it will be cut into multiple pieces. Okay, So once cutting process is done, so then I'll have to pack this, and then finally I'll have to send this to quality. So once the QC is done, so then I will get my sales order, and from the sales order, I'll have to pick this particular item or particular batch or the particular quantity. Okay, batch of items, and then I will. So in this entire process, so here if you see, so I'm having this coconut oil, which is my raw material. So here I have different sub inventories and the inventory. So first, let's talk about the inventory. Here in the inventory again. Okay, firstly the inventory. So inventory is a place where I'll store this particular. So after the QC is, so I will have my item stored. That is finished goods, FG soaps. Okay, so I'll store. Now, if I want to complete or do this manufacturing process, so it's not that in a one day I will complete the entire process. So it's a kind of activity. So first I get paper, and then I'll have this drying process, and then I have to this particular process. And once this is done, so then again I'll have drying process. Once this is done, so I'll have to cutting process, and I have my packing process. Finally, I'll send it for the QC. So once the QC is done, so that is when I'm doing this. So now let's say I have done this half of the process, and I have kept it till phase two. So I have kept it in dry and added this thing. Okay. So now this particular item is still not stored. It is probably I can count 10 minutes. So this what I will do is
It's like again your voice is going on and off, on and off.
uh okay, just give me one moment. It's connected to internet. And am I clear now or still you're
Yeah, it is loud and clear, but when you're speaking inventory and sub inventory, you're saying sub inventory is going and I'm not able to clear what inventory. It's like
okay?
some of the words I'm not, it's not audible.
Okay. I mean I'm using the same place. Maybe
Okay.
let me know if you feel there's some disconnect. So probably I can repeat it once again because I'm sitting in the same room. I'm
Okay,
not sure
okay.
if my connection is weak or something because I have connected to my Wi-Fi network only. So shall I
Okay.
if you get
No, it's not the internet issue. Some maybe it's a microphone. Is it close to you or
okay?
it's not internet issue?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, it is good now.
Okay, maybe and yeah, maybe I'll be little far away from the laptop. So let me
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Internet is fine.
Okay, okay, fine. Yeah, so I was so okay. Maybe I'll just explain this thing again. Okay, because I'm not sure what this thing. So okay, so we were talking about manufacturing of soaps to understand what is inventory and what is sub inventory. Okay.
Yeah.
So now here, if you see, so I have just put up the process of manufacturing. So this we are talking about FMCG industry,
Yes.
so wherein I'm just manufacturing a soap and I'm selling it to different customers or the different distributors basically. Okay. So now, as part of this manufacturing process, so these are my raw materials that I will procure in terms of labeling and the other things.
Yeah.
And there are other core raw materials that I will have. This is coconut oil and the castor
Yeah.
oil and the other such chemicals that I will add. Okay,
Yeah.
like the dye and the other things. So
Yes.
now the process starts here. So I will have my raw materials ready with. So the process starts from here. That is, I'll mix my raw materials and I will do a grinding. So once Once this grinding process is done, so I'll have to do a drying process. So once this is dried out, so then I will have to add a dye, and again I'll have to do a grinding process. So
Yeah.
once this is done, then I will do again a drying process. Then I will have to do this cutting process, because it's
Yeah.
not a small piece that I will use, it's kind
Right.
of large one. So I'll have this cutting process. Once this cutting process is done, so I'll store in a place, and then from there, because this is a long run activity that I'll be doing it, will not be go in a day. So I will do this particular process. Let's say I have completed of process, and I'll store in a place.
Okay.
Use it for the next day. So from here, I'll send it to another department,
Yeah.
the production department, let's say production department too. So wherein they will do this cutting process. Okay. So again, here they will do the cutting process, and then they will store it in a separate place. And from there, it will go to the packing department. And once this packing is done, it will go through this quality check.
Quality
So
check. Okay.
then if this quality check process is done, if they feel that this particular product can be released for sales, so that is when this particular item or the product is eligible for the sales. Okay.
Mm.
So now as a process, I will get my sales order. So this is where I'm storing my finished good items. Okay.
Mhm.
So I have my that is let's say batch one, two, three, four. I'll have multiple batches that is created in the system. I will use batch number one to this particular this particular sales order. Okay, and then I'll do the ship. So from here, our process stops. Okay, so now to understand, so now I'm doing this particular process and putting it somewhere called semi-finished good, because this is not fully uh, uh, finished product, and also I cannot send it for pack condition. So I have just made some of the product, so which I can finish it. Okay. Now this item I'll store in submit. So now what exactly is what is submit?
Again, it is started, Arun, now. So far, it was good, but now again, the voice is going on.
Okay. I mean, I'm just sitting in the same place. I'm not
Like
sure.
from the beginning, when you are explaining, it was all good. Now, when you came to this inventory, sub inventory,
Okay.
it started. Yeah. You go ahead. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, maybe tell me. I'll just repeat also, because I'm just using the
No,
same.
it was good. It was good. Everything was good. Like you were saying that we are adding the mixed dry and die part to the sub inventory. Is it? We are grouping there
Yeah,
or?
correct. Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so meaning, so whatever the semi-finished item that I'm having it here, so
Uh-huh.
here I will have a small place where I put these items, the semi-finished items. So I'll put
Yeah.
it here as semi-finished good. So it's
Okay.
just the name that we are using, but
Okay.
probably the raw materials also I can have it here. RM also I'll have it as a separate sub-inventory.
Okay.
So now
Okay. Fine.
whatever the items that I have created, so they wherein I will have a big space where I'll put my all the finished items. So this is
Okay.
what we are referring to the inventory, which means this sub inventory will be a small place wherein I'll just put and then transport. This is kind of an in transit place wherein I'll use
Uh-huh.
it for a shorter period time. But the
Okay.
inventory is a kind of a big storage area. I will use it. So basically, I'll have my square feet and the other things. So considering the square feet and the other spaces, so I will do my manufacturing process, and also I will have to analyze my item movement and the other things. So based on this, I will generate my analysis, and with the analysis, start the manufacturing. So that is how the inventory will be. So literally, it's kind of a space where we store our finished product. Okay. It will
Did not hear you. It is again started now.
um,
Are you like You are using headphone or it's like a directly laptop
No,
microphone?
speaker. I mean, I am not using headphones. I'm using
So
speakers.
it's the same, right? Like yesterday, or you have used the same
Yeah,
way.
same thing. Even yesterday, day before yesterday, also I used
So in that case, like in the you have in the Skype, no, you have this option called a microphone. So
okay,
there, what is chosen there? Like, do you want to check there once? Like you have the audio and video setting here. Yeah. Go
okay,
to audio. So microphone, is this the correct one? Like default, if you click on default. Yeah.
okay.
You wanted to use default or the above one you wanted to use?
Okay, maybe let me just try to change this. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay
Yeah.
now. Let's see.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Yeah. But this thing, you got it right? What
I
is?
heard it. I heard it. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm clear there. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So that's about the inventory organization and the this thing. Okay, so now, so this raw material again, this will be created as an item. So if I want this item to be selected in my purchase order, so I will need associated inventory organization because this item will be stored somewhere in the inventory organization. So where I'll deliver or where I'll get this particular item if supplier is sending to me. So that's
Okay.
the so that's the prerequisites here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just create one inventory organization quickly.
Okay.
Go to-
We came to initial users and then search.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just use the global search
Yeah.
and say inventory.
Page inventory.
Yeah.
Last but
So,
one.
yeah, correct. This is the one. So
Okay.
first thing is that we have the inventory location and then we have the inventory organization. Okay, so the location again, the same process. So we will add the location here. Okay, so I'll just show how to create location. Then we will use the same location over there and we will. So since I have given the reference data set as DB RDS, so I'm not using this because if I use common set and create this location, I'll not be able to see the created location there in the inventory organization. Saying this is so. Let me just change my office. Yes, I've changed. So I'll say this is at the
This location usually they will provide the in the warehouse. You will have the staging area, reserve
correct.
location, and all. Those locations we have to give, or the customer which location they will be giving it to us.
The staging area. So whatever you're saying, so that is correct. So that's
Okay.
the location that we'll give. So basically,
Okay.
warehouse and the other locations will get it as part of the basic configurations if we wanted to create it. So we'll get few data from the customer or the business
Uh,
user. So by then we'll get the location and the warehouse naming convention and the other things. So that is the location
okay.
that we'll be using here.
Okay. Fine.
Okay, so others are just optional information. Okay, so there are
Yeah.
certain things specific to the localization, which means for the country that we are implementing. For example, Spain.
Mhm.
These are the
Yeah.
that we will capture. Okay, so those are completely optional. So I'm just giving the mandatory information. So the first thing is address, and second thing is the name, and then the reference data set. Okay, so we have just given
Mm-hmm.
it. So I'll just say submit. So this location will be created. So the next step is to create the inventory organization.
Okay. One location is fine.
Yeah, one location is fine. So if we are creating it in real time, so probably for let's say I have four warehouse with me. So
Mm-hmm.
I have four locations. So then I will have to create location one, location two, three, four, and
Mm-hmm.
then here again I'll have to create four warehouse or the inventory organizations, and here I'll have to attach it individually. So if it is
Okay.
warehouse one, I'll have to attach the location one.
Okay.
Okay, so let me call this as body power. Okay, and then I'll add associate. Okay, so this should be in caps, I think. Okay, so the next thing is to associate the business unit, because here in the inventory, when we talk about the item, so we will say it is the inventory organization primarily. But if we are talking about the procurement, it's the business unit that we'll refer to. So only when we talk about the item, we'll say it is the inventory organization. So since we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to create the purchase order, so we'll just associate this with the business unit.
Okay.
Okay, so similarly, so since this particular unit, this is what associated with primary ledger, so by default system will pick the ledger. So probably the ledger is always one for this business unit, but probably there might be legal entity one, two, or three. But in our case, it is only one legal entity, so probably we can select it from the list. Okay. And here, if you notice, by default, system will assign the profit center business. So the profit center business unit is slightly the finance term, wherein basically system will calculate the gain or loss as part of this thing. So that we call it as an profit or the cost center basically. This will be assigned by default, so it's not mandatory also. So if we want to give, we can give as it is, or if we profit, then probably remove this also. And if you see here, so we also have the fixed asset book. Now, given the fixed asset book is nothing but uh, uh, so let's say so this place. So this ledger is the place where we have all the transactions of some ledger. Let's say I'm talking about ledger. So I have this data in the ledger. So this is kind of an accounting representation. Similarly, if I'm having an inventory organization, so in the inventory, so I might have raw material, I might have semi-finished goods, I might
Mm-hmm.
finished goods. So similarly, I might have certain assets also. So
Mm-hmm.
assets in the sense I will have machinery. So machinery is basically considered as asset. Okay. So then if I'm having fan or computer, even those items are considered as assets. So now if I'm handling this asset, so we'll see how we identify this is basically the raw material and these items are semi-finished good, or this is asset purchase or the asset item. So there are certain specification or the parameter that we will give to the item. So based on that selection that we make, so it has been identified as either the asset item or the raw material the finished good. Okay. So now here if you see, so if it is asset item, so which is the asset item which will be linked with this particular book. So this book is
Okay.
nothing but kind of an ledger where the assets are stored in the name fixed asset corporate book. So there are two books that we'll talk about. So one is corporate book where actually the assets are stored, or if new asset is added, let's say I'm adding a machinery to my production unit. So now this asset will be created or added to this particular corporate book. Okay. So
Okay.
for the compliance requirement, they might create the second book called tax book. So which is just for the need of compliance requirements. But
Mm-hmm.
the machinery that we are going to add, it will be the corporate book. Okay.
Okay.
So which we can associate, and again this is optional, it's not mandatory to associate also. Okay. So I'll just add the location which we created. It is Chennai office. Yeah, so this is the one that we created. So yeah, so here if you see, so we have internal or external. So internal is owned by us. So if we are doing an contract with some other third party, maybe we'll select this as an external, because there will be a certain case. So let's say I am manufacturing this particular soap. Okay, so for Chennai office, manufacturing it completely, but for let's say I'm doing it in Hyderabad, for the Hyderabad office. So I'm not doing the manufacturing process completely. So instead, I have given something called an SPV enterprise. So for which I have given this contract. So they will do the manufacturing process and they will give it to me. So for which I will have to pay a certain cost, which I'm okay with it. Okay. So if that is the case, then I'll select this as an external. I'll not select this as an internal. Okay. So nowhere this is going to impact. It's just for the understanding that whether this is owned by me or this is owned by somebody. So I'm just using as an contract option. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just say next. So this is where we define certain options to my inventory organization. Okay. So now here I can select my item master organization. So item master organization is basically what do you call, the virtual office that I can say. It's not the realistic office that I can say, because this for this I will not have any location in the system. Again here in terms of structure, so either I can have one particular item master. So in this case, let's take this as an Chennai office and Hyderabad office. Okay. So now I can have one item master. Okay, for both Chennai and Hyderabad. Or I can have one for Chennai and one for Hyderabad. So both are there in the system. So it's about the access level, how I wanted to control my access. Okay, so I'll just have this as in common. So I don't want specifically for Chennai office and specifically for Hyderabad office. Okay, because this is virtual office. So which so here also if you see, so I am just selecting this. So whatever the inventory organization that I have created. So that's the same thing that I'm adding here. That is BuddyPower inventory organization. Okay. So the moment I select this, so I'll see this as an definition organization, which means that whatever I have created here, so that's the one that I'm going to use here. And since I'm doing this as a definition, so I will not have any revision to this. So revision is something that I had an organization and I'm probably adding to the existing one. So that is when I'll have the revision. So since I'm creating this as a fresh one, so I will not have basically the revision. Okay. And here we'll have the schedule. So schedule is nothing but the working hours. So for this, let me just select this. I'm not sure if we have defined it for IND. Okay, for now, let me take 4 days a week. Okay, so this is nothing but this will tell us whether on this particular date, whether this is working day, if this is working, whether the shift one or shift two. So if it is shift one, so what would be the hours? So that is what mentioned here in the schedule. Or you can call the schedule as calendar. Okay, so which means that let's say I'm working on Saturday, but I'm not working on Sunday. Okay, so now in this case, what will happen is that so I might have this as holiday. So 25 is my holiday, or I'm not working on that particular date. So which will be configured in this particular schedule. Okay, so this will give me the actual time. So why I'm capturing this information is that in order to have a proper production schedule and in order to understand my production capacity and the other analysis. Okay, so that's the reason we are having, and this is mandatory to select one schedule at least. Okay, so these are optional. So if I want to select, so probably I can select. So these are nothing but the coordinates. So I can just leave this. Okay. So now then I have something called locator. Okay. So locator is a place where I store my item in my inventory unit. So it could be my inventory unit or it could be my sub inventory unit. But now this particular locator control that we are looking at is for the inventory unit. Okay, so for now I'm not setting this locator control, but we have option whether I wanted to handle this locator at my sub inventory, or whether I wanted to have this at my item level, or whether I wanted to generate this at dynamically. Okay, so here if you see, so dynamically if I want to generate, so I can generate. So this is nothing but the unique sequence that is generated in terms of tracking the item. Okay, so that's the purpose of
Okay.
locator control. Okay, so now this is by project. So if I want to track by projects, so I can enable this option. So let's say I have this particular item for project A or project B or C. So if I want to track it, I can enable this feature. And so these are basically the tracking items. So by country, if I want to track, I can track it. And if I want to do a substitute item, so I can do that. Okay, so these are optionals. So I'm not selecting this. So will not use this unless I have this project module and the other things set up in the system wherein I'll have multiple integrations. So even in the procurement, in the purchase order screen or the requisition screen, I can say. So we have the project related information if I'm implementing project module also, which means it's project accounting. So then I will have that information. So by then, probably if I need, I can enable this feature called tracking by project. So for now, we are not looking at a project, so I'll just leave this as it is, enabling this. uh, And then, so these things usually will not enable because if we enable, system will allow us to manage the inventory in negative. Let's say I wanted to have a threshold because I don't want to stop my production because if there is no raw material in the warehouse, so I'll not have capacity to produce, let's say, 1,000 metric ton if I want to produce it. So I will not have this capacity to produce if I enable this because I wanted to have certain threshold. Let's say if half a million is there, so I wanted to set this notification or something. So I will not use this feature called negative on and transaction. Okay, so I'll just leave this option as it is. Okay, And then if I don't want to change the receipt date, and so I can enable this feature. Okay, and this is kind of a reorder quantity. Okay, so that also I can do it. And then back order, so back order is something that I purchase it from someone and then I'll sell it to someone, so I will not basically do the manufacturing process. So that's what it is. So for that, if I want to cancel automatically the transfer, so I can enable this. So this is less likely used because you will not cancel the transfer order automatically. Okay. Yeah, then the item cost. So if I want to use the current cost, I can enable this, but at this point, I don't want to enable the costing related setups. So I'm not touching right now. Okay. So these are like the additional controls that we have. So if this inventory organization which I'm setting up is a manufacturing plant, so these are basically the identification points. So if this is manufacturing plant, I can enable, or if this is used to perform the maintenance or kind of a maintenance office, I can say. So then I can enable this as a maintenance activity. Okay. And then as I said here, so the if this is led to a contract to someone to manufacture, so then I can say, so that is the case where we select the external. Okay, so if this is external, so then maybe I can say who that party is, so I can just attach the supplier and the supplier side. Okay, and then this is nothing but the integrated system. So if you remember, so I was explaining about a thing called creating the item of the system, which means that I'm not using the Oracle Fusion's inventory module effectively. So I'm getting the items from different application, wherein the items are created in, let's say, the other application, and
Yeah.
I'm using this inbound and outbound. So the
Mhm.
way that will work out is that, so let's say I have let's say AIP is my third party. Okay, so this is my Oracle Fusion inventory. Okay. So now the business process or the business requirement is that business has decided that I'm not going to create the item directly in my inventory. I want, so because there are more information that I can capture here in AIP, and also there are certain things that can be done in AIP and which gives me better reporting needs. So now business has decided that I'm going to use AIP, so which is third party tool. Okay, so now the item is created, so the process will go something like this. So item is created here first. Okay, so now once this item is created, so system will check whether this is new item, which means this yeah, so the whether this is new item or the existing item. So if this is existing item, so then it will check if this is sent to Oracle, status is yes or no. If the status is no, then there will be an schedule process which will be run. Okay, so which will be an outbound process. Okay, so this is kind of an bit of technical, but just for the understanding, I'm saying. So in case we
Yeah.
have the integration, so we'll have to just know how this should work. So that's the reason.
Right.
Okay, so this will trigger this outbound activity. Okay, so now from here, what will happen is that, so there will be a schedule process that we will do. So here we will talk about something called load interface program.
Mhm.
Is file for import. Okay, so this is the program which we will use if I want to import some data from the external application, or I wanted to basically receive the inbound file from other application. That is here in this case, it is AI application, whether I want to use it. Okay, so now This program, what this will do is that whatever the file that I get it from AIP, so that will be placed in the interface table. So interface table is a place where the data will be stored. From here, I'll have to import the item. So this is the program which will be used if I want to import my items into the system. Okay. So now this program will trigger this. So this is child program of this. So now if I complete this process, what will happen is that, so there will be an item created in Oracle Fusion.
Yeah.
So this will be in the base table.
Right.
So when the item is created in the base table, so that is when basically this item will be allowed to create any purchase order or the sales order. Okay, so
Mm.
firstly the purchase order. Okay, so this is how the flow will work. So now if I'm using this integrated flow, so probably I can enable this feature. Okay, so then I can even use the customer or the account number also.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's about it. And then movement request is nothing but moving from one location to other location. So basically for this moment, we'll have the pick slip. So the pick slip is nothing but it's kind of an sheet where we'll have the item and the quantity and the specification of the items. So which will give the precise information about this particular package. So that's about the pick slip. So we'll have the pixel batch size and this thing. So we can just give. So these are optional. So I'm not giving these informations, but if I want to give, so I can give. Okay. Yeah. So that's about this. And then I have option to generate my lot and the serial number. So here, if you see, so if I want to have my unique number generated for the slot, so if I have enabled the slot control and if I want to generate this, so I can set it at my item level, as I said, or if I want to have it at my organization level, so I
Mm-hmm.
can just enable saying unique across the items and I can say at organization level.
Mm. Okay.
And then the different statuses if I want to have, or whether I wanted to handle only with exceptions so that I can allow. Okay. And then the UOU conversion. Okay, so unit of measure, if I wanted to build this conversion, so what for what I will basically build the conversion is that. So let's say I'm creating an item. So again, let me take the soap as an example. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
for soap, so for if I'm talking about one piece, so the unit of measure in this case is, let's say, each or the
Mm-hmm.
piece is the
Mm-hmm.
actual unit of measure. Okay, but now if I'm selling this to the distributor, so then I'll not talk about the piece, because I'm not going to sell to my distributor as single piece. It's the package that I'll sell. So in this
Yeah.
case the unit of measure is bots.
Okay.
But then I'll not be able to select this unit of measure when I'm basically creating this sales order, or when I'm trying to sell the item. So I'll not be able to select this as bots or P's or something like that. So instead, what I will have to do is that I'll have to do this conversion. So let's say one bots. So I'll have to say in the system. So if this is one bots, then it is of 30 pieces. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to build this conversion in the system. So if
Okay.
this is one box, then I'll have 30 pieces. So accordingly, I'll have the pricing that is changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's about the conversion. And then the lot generation. So if I have enabled it, so if I want to give the profits, I can give profits, or I don't want have the profits. I just wanted to have the total length. So whatever the combination that I want to give, so I can give it. So that I can use. Okay. So this is nothing but the child lot. So below that, if I want to add the another lot, so that's about it. And this is the unique serial number that I want to generate. So there are some companies or most of the companies which will use this serial number, uh, because if you see even in the soap, so if you see, so there will be a number called 8901732. So if this is the serial number for this particular package, so which will be unique. So this serial number will not be allocated to the next bots or the next batch. Okay, so
Mhm.
there are certain business wherein they will not use the serial number, but for the manufacturing process, they will use this serial number. So if we
Okay.
are using again at the item level or at the organization level, I can set the sequence generated and I can give the sequence. So
Hmm.
this sequence will be in the numeric. So we cannot give the alphanumeric. So alphanumeric, if I want to generate, then I'll have to use this prefix to achieve that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and this is again the packing unit generation. So if I want to add prefix or suffix, so I can give here. Okay. Yeah, so then the item sourcing. So item sourcing is nothing but so from where basically I'm sourcing this particular item. So here, if I wanted to source it from this particular unit, so I can say it is sourced from. So sub inventory unit, of course, I'll not have because this is the first step that I'm creating. Okay, so when we see the what do you call the inventory module, we'll create the sub inventory unit as well. So for now, I'm creating only the inventory organization because this is one of our prerequisite, so that's why we are creating it. Okay, so other than that, if I want to source it from a specific supplier, so I can just select the supplier and I can mention the supplier name here. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, and then this is nothing but the linking the logistics. If let's say I am not using my own logistics, instead I'm using something called DHL or something like that, so then I can mention the logistic name. Okay, but this is optional, so I'm just leaving this as it is. And this
Hmm.
is again the big slip thing that we'll have to give. So if I'm using a specific rule, so this again we'll talk about in order management, because wherein we will have to do a pick slip rule or the picking rule in order to generate our picking process, and then we'll have our shipping process to be created in the system. So by then we'll talk
Okay.
about the picking rules. So how do we create it, and what are the options that we have? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is pick confirmation. So these are specific controls that we have. Okay. So these are optional. So I'm just leaving this, and DFF, so DFF is additional information that we can capture. Okay, so for now in this field, I don't have any DFF created, but if I want to capture, let's say, this units, any unique number that I want to capture, I can add a DFF and I can capture it here, but this is optional. So usually we will not capture the additional information in my setup. So it is usually at the transaction that we'll create. So we'll see how to create this DFF. We'll see when we look at the procurement. Okay, so what is the DFF that we can capture there? So I'll give you a scenario there. So probably we'll see when we create the purchase order. Okay, so what is DFF and why do we use it? So we'll see there. Okay. Yeah, so that's it on the inventory organization. So we created this inventory organization, and also we have added the parameter. So parameter is nothing but so how I wanted to control my inventory organization, or how do I want to basically run my inventory organization. Okay, so that is what we are defining in the inventory organization parameters. Okay, so I have given
Okay.
the options as well. So let me just say save and close. Okay, so this is done. That is the inventory organization is also created. Okay, so now let me create one item. Okay, so to create item, so I will need this thing called role. Product data steward is the role that I will need for this. So let me assign this role.
All right. We have given most of the roles, right? Like implementation consultant, administrator.
Yeah, so this we have given for setup and maintenance, and this we have given it for adding roles and this thing. But this process, if you see the item addition or the creating new item in the system. So in terms of inventory module, so this is new transaction that we are doing in the system. So
Mhm.
for that, as a consultant who implements, so the way that we will see this role is that so there will be a segregation. So who can do what? So for this, if you see, so I can do the setups, which means the configuration part I can do, and I can give to the business user. So business user will have to do the transaction or any new data that needs to be created in the system or any master data that needs to be created in the system. So it's the user who will do it. And here, if you see,
Okay.
again, this is kind of an system administrator login or the role. So wherein this person can create new user or create new role or create a custom role. But these two role will not be sufficient if I want to create item or if I want to create the purchase order, because this item creation will be done by the employee and even the purchase order will be created by the employee. So
Mhm.
this implementation consultant is nothing but Oracle finance consultant who will provide the solution and who will implement the solution in Oracle Fusion. So this person cannot do this item creation logically in the system. So that's the reason
Oh,
Oracle has separated this with separate roles.
okay.
Okay. So now again for this, if I want to create item, I'll have to be created as a employee as well. Okay, because only employees will do these transactions, creating new item or closing the existing item. Probably if I will not use this particular item, I'll close those items. So these are completely the actual employee activity that will be performed on a day-to-day basis. So that's the reason using this application implementation consultant role. So we'll not have option to create new items.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll
So
just
which role will choose now for adding item?
so we will use this one product data steward. So this is the role that will be using it. So that is the first one, ORA
Steward. Okay.
data steward.
How do we like Arun? Is there any documentation within Oracle saying that hey, for this role, it has
Yeah.
these many privileges and all, like you can create item and so. So
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. So that we can I'll just show for one. That for item creation. So this is kind of an repository which can be used for all the modules. So
Oh,
I'll just show for this one module.
okay.
Okay.
Roles and privileges.
Yeah. So this is Oracle's this thing. Okay. So which
Says,
we can see, so we are looking at 23D. So that's the reason if you see here, so we are seeing this message called you're viewing an older release, because even ours it is 23D, I think so. Yeah, because this is older data, because this is not mandatorily needed that we'll have to see the current version, because this data is not going to change it. Okay.
yeah.
So
I'm
now,
going to innovation management actually.
yeah, so inside this, so I'll just show what we have here. Okay,
Okay.
firstly, so I'll just go to supply chain and manufacturing. So now,
Okay.
if I go to this, so let me
Yes.
select here. So this is common screen
Procurement.
wherein we can see it for all the modules. Okay. So now let me pick it for the inventory management. So if we
Okay.
see the inventory management, so here I can see whatever the APIs that Oracle has provided, because
Yeah.
if we don't have this APIs with Oracle, so we will not be able to implement this particular solution. If at all
Yeah.
I'm giving my API to the third party, which means that I'm giving data to them, which they
Right.
will use for the further processing. If I'm getting their data, so then they will have to give their API. So I'll just call their API to import the data. So that is fine.
Yeah.
If Oracle's data is sending to a third-party application, so then I'll have to go here and search for the particular API. So wherein I
Hmm.
get all those things. So this is
Right.
specific to modules. So this we have taken it for inventory. So similarly, if I want to look at the procurement, I can go and take.
Yeah.
So which will give us the sample this thing also. So this is what I was talking about, the SOAP web service
Right.
and then the REST APIs. So mostly it is the REST API that we will use. The SOAP web service, it's not used for this. So there is something called VBCS. So those are bit of a technical thing. So I'll not do a deep this thing into that. So we have something called VBCS. So they probably mostly will use the SOAP web services. But for this inbound and outbound, mostly it is the REST APIs that we will use.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not only for this. So if I don't know a particular setup, so even for that I can use this. So if you
Hmm.
see here, so I have this outbound shipment. If I want to probably do an outbound shipment, so in that case, so what is the API that I will have to use? So let's say I'm saying for confirm pick ship. Okay. So here I can just see. So this is the task where I'll look at the confirm shipment. And if I want to create a pick slip, so how do I create it? And then so these are a bit of an exhaustive, but you will find most of the information here,
Okay.
or everything you will find it. So this is kind of an repository wherein I can find the information in terms of technical and also functional in terms of transactions or the setups that I want to do, or let's say I want to see if this is feasible or not. So everything I can see here. So similarly, if I want to see the roles, so that is also possible that I can see it here. Okay, so role is something like this. Yeah, so here if you see, so I have this job role. Okay, and also I can see what is the privilege that I'll get here. So privilege is nothing but what are the transaction that I can do using this particular role.
Okay.
So we can just do a Google and we'll be able to get this role and the other things.
Okay.
If you want the list of job roles, so maybe I can give, but if you want to explore, maybe you can use this.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so you will find everything here mostly. So if you see, so you'll have the inventory manager, you'll have the warehouse manager, and this is the role that we attach, that is supply chain application administrator. Okay.
Hmm.
So So similarly, you will find everything here. So maybe I'll put this for your reference, and also I'll just share the mandatory roles that we wanted to create. But apart from that, maybe if you want to explore something, whatever the roles that we have for specific modules, maybe that you can have this. So I'll put this link also in the group. So probably you can have a look at it.
Okay.
Okay.
And like we saw somewhere like duty role, abstract role, job role.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Like I was thinking role is like only one, right? But there are different terms there.
Yeah. So those are the theoretical parts. So when we talk
Okay.
the duty role and this thing, but if we talk about role, it's only the job role that we'll talk about, because here, even here, if you see, so I will search only for the job role. So this is nothing but a job role basically. So how do I understand if this is job role or this is duty role is here? So I'll just go to role screen.
But what is the difference? Like duty role means what? Job role means or what? Or abstract? Like,
Yeah, I'll just explain. So here,
oh, okay. It is
yeah,
same job role.
yeah. So here, if you see, so this is my job role. Okay, so
Mhm.
this will tell me clearly. So now, what exactly is job role and the duty role and the abstract role is that? So job role is something that which gives me the consolidated activities that I will do as part of my day-to-day activity. So let's say
Mhm.
I receive my item, I create the receipt, and then I'll do the analysis, and then I'll check my production process. So now
Okay.
all these activities combined, I call this as a job role.
Okay.
So duty role is something that it is related to my particular entity. So let's say I am doing only this particular act. I'm looking at only creation of item. I'm not looking at the delivery process and this thing. So if I break down and see this one particular activity, I call this as my duty role, which means that what I need to do as a single activity. So this I call it as a duty role, or I'll have set of privileges added to this called as duty role. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll just add here. So let's say I will receive the items. Okay, and then I will, let's say, um, create the receipt. For the purpose of simplicity, I'll just have these two. Okay, so this I'll call it as job role. Okay, so now if I want to talk about receive items, so for this I'll create the item. Okay, and then probably I will manage the item, which means that if I want to add any new parameters to the item, so I'll go and edit the item. Okay, and then I will receive the items as well. So this is my one set of activity. So now if I'm talking about this one particular process, I call this as duty role. Okay,
Okay.
so now here again inside this create item, so I will have something called privilege. So now what is privilege? Privilege is something whether I can create or update or edit. So these options are given through this privilege. So now on the first level I'll have privilege, and then I'll have my duty role, and then I'll have my job role. So abstract role we had it, but currently in the latest release, so we are not using this abstract role. It's mostly the job role and the duty role and the privilege that we'll talk about mostly. So when we talk about,
Okay.
so these are basically the theoretical point of view, but if you're customizing a role, so
Mm-hmm.
we'll mostly talk about this job role because this is what we are assigning to one user. So these are
Okay.
basically for the custom component. If I, let's say, for a particular user, so I don't want to give full access. So I wanted to probably give only the access of creation. So I
Uh-huh.
remove the rest of the access, that is editing and the updating. So editing here
Mm-hmm.
is nothing but this particular activity to
Yeah.
this option. So I will remove this and I will create a custom role. So that is what we are referring to the privilege. So now this privilege will be added to this duty role and I will add this duty role to my job role. So which
Mm-hmm.
gives me these functions. I mean the list of activities that I will do on a day-to-day basis. Okay.
Okay. Got it. So, but day to day, like whatever the customer implementations will be doing, will be most likely will be assigning the job roles only, right?
Yeah, correct, correct.
Okay.
Because if I try to assign the duty role also, so the
Mm-hmm.
system, in terms of structure, system will not allow me to assign the duty role to the job role. So if I want, so let's say there is an Oracle's role. So there are few roles where an Oracle will have only the duty role. So now,
Mm-hmm.
if I want to assign this duty role to my user, so I'll not be able to assign it directly. So what I'll have to do is that,
Uh-huh.
so I'll have to create a dummy job role saying, let's say ST job role, and
Okay.
we'll have to assign this duty role to this particular dummy job role. So this is how I'll be able to assign the role to the user, because this
Mm-hmm.
duty or any other role, I'll not be able to assign it to the user. It's
Okay.
only the job role that I can assign.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So that is about it. So let me just,
Yeah, we are creating the items, right?
yeah.
Okay. And
So
you added that role,
yeah,
steward. What is
yeah.
the role name?
Product data steward.
Okay.
Okay, so I have created this. So let me just give access to the inventory that we created.
Data access for users.
Okay, so this is where basically we'll give the access. So now if you see, so there are two activities that we are doing. So the first thing what we are doing is that, so we are giving access to the role. So let's say for example, so we are giving this role called inventory manager. Okay, so this inventory manager is assigned to the user called funny dot nothing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this role is assigned. So now I'll be able to do the transaction, that is creation of the item or transfer of the item. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
it's the creation of the item that we are talking about. So now this creation of the item, I'll be able to do it using this particular role called inventory manager. Now,
Okay.
if I want to create item, I will need this inventory organization. So this access to a particular inventory organization is given through data access.
Mm. Okay.
This will give me only the functionality, but if I open the screen and try to create new item, it will ask for the inventory organization. So since I have not given this data access, I will not be able to see any data, the any organization in the list of value. So I will have to
Mm-hmm.
this particular activity in order to see or complete this item creation there.
Okay.
So here if you see, the user is this and role is product data steward, which we assign. And here if you see, so there are a lot of context that we'll see. So the context for this, but So there are certain roles wherein I will use only the inventory organization or only the business unit, but for this I have these many options because I can assign this at ledger level or the legal entity or the business unit. So for now I'm saying this is at inventory organization. Okay. So we have assigned this. So this program, if you see, so if you click this initial users, you will find this schedule process called run user and role synchronization process. So as a regular practice, we will not run this program. So when we will do this particular activity is that, so I have created user, I have associated role, and also have given the data access. But still, if I don't get this inventory organization in my list of values, so then what I will do is that, so probably I'll just log out and log in once to check it. Still, if I did not get it, so that is when we'll say retrieve latest LDAP. So LDAP is nothing but it's a process where it will synchronize the user and the roles that we have granted. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just log out and log in once. Okay, so we got this option called product management. So let me just go this. So this is the one product management. Okay, so here if you see, so I have this product information management. So I'll just click this option. So which will allow me to create the new item in the system.
Okay. Product information management.
Yeah, so product information management is a screen where I will use wherein if I want to create a new item in the system or if I want to create a new category in the system, so I'll be able to do it. So here if you see,
Okay.
if I want to create this item, I can go ahead and create here, or if I
Mhm.
want to create a new category in the system, so I can say manage catalog, so wherein I can create multiple categories in the system. Okay. And
Mhm.
apart from that, if I want to set the approval hierarchy for the item creation, so that also I can do it. So this screen will allow me to do the item request, but if I want to configure the approval, so I'll have to go to something called BPM, Business Process Management. So there I'll have to give the condition. So if this condition matches, then route it to this particular manager. Let's say I'm creating with category A. So I have three categories. So I have category A, I have category B, and category C. So now, if this item is created with category A, I wanted to route it through manager 1, 2, 3. If this is created with category B, I wanted to route it through 4 and 5. So similarly, so whatever the condition that we wanted to bring in, so we can give it as condition uh, and as an action. So we can say this gets auto approved, or I can say this will require the approval process. If the status is requires approval process, then I will have to go through this approval. So once this manager approves this particular item creation request, so that is when this item will be in the active status. So when item becomes active, so that is when I can use this item in my purchase order. Okay.
So
So
the approval engine is not within this application. They have to get another. license for BPM.
Yeah, correct. So they will have to
Okay.
go to BPM because here this is nothing but a screen where I can create item only. So if I want to create the approval process, again I'll have to go to another screen to do the configurations for the
Okay.
approvals.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is the one that we created. I think we did not create the item.
Yeah.
Okay, we did not create the item class. Let me create one quickly.
Classes. Okay.
Okay, so what exactly is this item class is that? So now I might create this item as an semi-finished good, or I might create this as the finished good, or I might create this as raw material. So all these are created basically based on the parameters or the specification that we have given. So now,
Okay.
in order to create it, so I cannot give every time that this will be an what do you call this will be an the finished code or this will be an semi-finished code. So instead of selecting those specifications every time, so
Mm.
Oracle has given this provision called item class, wherein I can give this kind of a template. So I can use this template called item class and create my items. So basically that will make sure that whatever the specification that I wanted to select, that will be taken care. Okay. So that's the purpose of having the item class. So now if you see, so this is standard one given by Oracle. So we'll not be able to change this root item class. So if I want to create a new item class, so I'll have to click this root, and under this root, I'll have to create new item class. Or if I want to create the existing one under this, so which means under root, I have this automotive, and under automotive, if I want to create, so let's say I want to create under IC1. So again, under this one, so this is kind of an hierarchy again. Okay. So I don't want to create it under automatic. So I'll just create one under root item class.
Okay.
So let me just give this as VP class.
The item class.
Okay, so I can just save and I can add the details of this particular item class.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you see here, so the parent class would be always the root item class. Okay,
Yeah.
and then here, so this of course will enable this, because if I disable this option, I'll not be able to create the item. So this will be always enabled. And let's say I have two or three item class, so then I'll not say the default item class for this, probably for the another item class which I will use it in frequent basis. So I will use that because if it is, let's say, raw material, I have an item class, and or for the finished good I have an item class. So I'll say finished good is my item class. That is the default one system will pick. So from there I can override. I can select my second or the third item class. So this I'm creating for the first time. So I don't want to have this as an selection. So I'll say default item class. Okay. So now if I come down, so I have this category. So this category is just an optional. Okay. So the important thing is that this item management. So wherein here I can say whether I will need this item request created. So whether I need this item request created and all those options. Okay. So now the what do you call the in sorry the item number generation. So let's say I'm creating an item called soap. So now whether I wanted to have this the item number generated as a manual, or I wanted to generate in a sequence, or whether I wanted to write a rule in order to generate this. So I'll
Okay.
just say this is sequentially generated. Okay. So here I can give the starting number. So let me give this as 1,000. So this again is decided by the business. So business will suggest. So basically, we will propose the number uh, after understanding their existing customer, sorry, the item number. Because if you see during our solutioning phase, we'll understand their requirements, so what they follow, and we will get most of the information out of it, and we will know what is the sequence that they are following. Probably we might not know the exact last item number which they are following, so they can confirm us what is the item number which we might want to use. So if it is development or test instance, so they will inform us, or they will tell us that for now use this 1,000 or 10,000. Maybe for the production or the data migration activity, we will give the actual numbering. Okay. So similarly, if it is production, we'll get the starting number from the customer. So if it is development or the test environment, so we'll say the 1,000 is the starting number. And if you want to have the profits for that, so let's say if this particular class that I'm creating is for raw material, so I'll say this is RM and 1,000. So I can say something like this. Okay, and these are again additional information that we can do. Okay, so if I'm using this new item request, that is the I'm using this, so I can set this approval hierarchy here. So if you see here, so the definition of workflow details here, the first thing that I can do, so I'm not enabling at this point, but as an option, so I can just say this is to a particular person, and response received from so and so person, I can say, and to whom this particular request will be sent, which means the manager. Okay. Then I can say whether this is for catalog of IT association, or this is
Still breaking.
okay.
It is fine now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying, so this is nothing but the approval flow which I was talking about. So we'll have to go to separate screen and do the configuration, right? So this is,
Okay.
so here if you see, so the item request. So if I want to use the approval workflow, so I'll have to enable the new item request. Okay, so which will route to the approval. So now in order to complete this approval flow, so I'll have to define this rules, the business
Okay.
rules in the system. So first thing is that sequence. So now if I have one level of approval, so then I will not need multiple sequences to be followed. But let's say I have multiple sequence to be followed, which means that let's say user A is creating this. So now I have three level of approvals in the system. So which will be like manager one will approve. So once manager A approves, so it will go to manager B and then manager C. So if this process needs to be followed, so I will have to do sequence one, two, three. But if it is to a single approver which I wanted to capture, so I'll just say sequence one, and here I can say this is the person, and the response received from I can say all, because if I say one, I'll have to say the specific person, and also meaning it's the only one person who will create the item in the system. But most of the business, if you see, it's not the only one person who will create the item. So let's say I have four manufacturing units in India. So at least I'll have four person who will create the items, because I cannot have a kind of an system wherein a person sitting in the head office will create the item. So it is at the inventory, or it is at the manufacturing unit, the person will create the item. Okay, so it will be most of the cases it is all. Okay, so now assign to. So now if this particular item is created and this request is sent, so who would be the first level of manager? So that is what we will have to give here. So if this is the first manager, so I'll say manager A. So then I'll have to create the sequence 2, and then I'll have to say manager 2 and then manager 3. Okay. So then the business activity. So adding what I wanted to initiate this approval. So let's say I wanted to look at my item association or the category. So if I'm assigning a new category to the system, so then how do I want to look at it? So that is what we are defining as business entity. Okay. And then if I want to say, let's say, if this is primary, so usually it is primary, but we have the other options as well, like for the engineer or the design. So design is something related to the project life cycle. So wherein we'll have the designing phase and then the production, all those activities. So for that, if I want to enable, I can enable it. But in this case, it would be the primary that we will set. Okay. And for all values, I can say for this particular approval process. If some of the information is missing, I'll not allow to complete this particular process. Okay. So similarly, I can add multiple lines. Okay.
Okay. So this is basically whenever a new item is created, if you want to set up a approval and hierarchy and all, you have to use this workflow here.
Correct, correct, correct.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just take this out, and the next thing that we have is something called security. So now here, if you see, so I have a group, or I can assign the person directly. So I don't want to give it to a group. So I will say this is to a person, because group is something the role. If I have let's say product data steward, then I'll be able to access this item class. But if this will be handled by a specific person, so in this case, it's funny is the person name. We just say it this. Okay. So now if I want to give access only to this person, so I can say this is the organization that I associate. Okay. So
BuddyPower, it is there, no first one.
yeah, right. So this is what I was waiting for. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the one. So let me, I think this will not allow for mandated. Let me check. So there are certain inventory related configurations which will allow me to create only on current date or the system date. For example, the category creation. So this
Okay.
category creation will allow me to create only on today's date. So it will not allow me to the configuration. So
Okay.
yeah, so then the privilege that I'll have to give. So I'll just say add, and I'll give all the privileges. Okay. So here I can view, I can edit, I can add the information. Okay, all those things I can do. If you come down, you have the 10 item, then the item revision, all those things are there. So I'll just select all this, and I'll say apply, which means that I'm giving the complete control. I can add or edit or whatever the parameters that I can change. So I'll be able to change it.
Okay.
Okay.
But
And
like Arun,
Yeah,
So what is the purpose of security here? Like for this item class, we are defining a security.
correct,
Or for this item class, we are saying funny is the user
correct.
who is able to add the items
Yeah,
while
so
choosing
the
this
way,
item class.
yeah, so the way this will work is that, so let's say I have three users who will
Uh-huh.
create this item. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if I want to create item, I will need the item class. So now
Right.
this item class is either at role or user. So now, if
Hmm.
this role is product data steward, if I want to give access to all three employees as a single entry, so I can do
Hmm.
that. Or if I want to create a custom role for let's say person one, I can do that, and person two, I'll create another custom role that also I can do it. And the second thing is that I have this funny, so who will for whom I'll give the direct access. So I'll select here as person. So now the way that we are trying to control is that if I try to log in as different person, so
Hmm.
even though I have given the role at my security console
Yeah.
and have come to my manage data user set, and again I have given my inventory organization, so still this person will not be able that is the person 4 I'm talking about, so
Yeah.
still particular person will not be able to create the item because I have not given access to the item class. So this is how we are.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so again here, if you see, so I have the read, update, and deletion.
Yeah.
Now, if I remove this update and delete, so it means that this person will be able to see if there is any new item that is created with this particular item class. But then this particular person will not be able to create item or end date any particular item.
Okay. But in real time, what will be the item class name? Like,
So item class name in real time would be it would be the raw materials, and it would be the semi-finished good, or it could be semi-finished good, or there are certain process that they will have. So in my other project, the item class which we had is that specifically for the categorization of the item, so we had this item class defined. So there are a lot of item class that we define, but that will be specific to the item category. So but that is not with that, but also we will have as an item specific also. But what I have seen is basically the item category specific item class creation.
okay.
Okay. Any question?
No. Yeah. No questions.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I have given the this also. Okay. So now this is application scope and this thing. So these are not used basically, because if you see this application wise will not use it, because this is tagging your parent item class, but here we are not using the parent item class, we are just using this item class under root item, and we will be using this to create our items. Okay. And
Okay.
these are the additional attributes that I can basically have it. Okay, so if I want to basically add the display name and the single row or the multiple rows, so these are the options that I can create, but these are completely optional. Okay, so I'll not add information to this, and this is nothing but the life cycle. So that is, as I said, it is design, production, and then this will become active. So if I'm not using this, so I'll say this is obsolete. Okay, so these are the multiple phases that I can define. So these are standard. So again, I'm not changing there. So I will use the standard one. Okay. So now here is what we are defining mostly. So I'll just say add new.
Item template.
Yeah. So this template is what defines how I wanted to classify my item. Okay. So let
Mm.
me just call this as the item template, and the organization is this is the one. Say okay. Okay. So now this is my default. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so these are my unit of measure and these things, but then the primary thing is that the specification that we are giving here. So if you see here, by module, I will have certain controls that I can do it here. So the first thing is that the purchasing. Okay, so now when we talk about purchasing, so whether I can have this as a purchasable item. Okay, so I can say this is yes, it is purchased and this is purchasable item. Because if I enable this as no, which means that I cannot purchase this item, but I can have this as my inventory item, which means that I will add a miscellaneous receipt and have it as an item, but I cannot have this item created as my from basically the procurement module or through the purchase order. I will not be able to import this item. Okay.
Okay.
And then for the whether the negotiation is required. So negotiation is nothing but the RFQ. If I am trying to get quotation from multiple suppliers and I want to basically understand which supplier gives a better price, and basically based on that I will do a better pricing mechanism, and I'll select whoever gives me in better quality and better price. So I'll go for them. If I want to use that particular option, so I can enable this negotiation required. Okay, so we will enable at a later point in time. So for now I'll just leave this also open. So now I have option called allow purchasing
Mm-hmm.
document description update. So if I want to update the description field, so I can say yes. Okay. So but if I don't so anyway, if I'm going to update this document, that is purchase order, so that will create a revision. So when this particular purchase order will be revised, so when I have created this purchase order and I have sent it for just approval, and manager also approved it, and now the current status of this purchase order is open. So now if I go back to my purchase order and change the quantity from 10 to 12, so which means that this purchase order will be revised with 1.1 or whatever the version that we are giving, that will be revised. Okay. So addition to that, if I allowing this update is what we are controlling at this place. Okay. And then here, if you see the taxable, so whether this particular item is taxable. So this is basically based on for India scenario, is this particular item be taxable? Okay, but it depends whether we are handling at purchase order level or whether handling at the finance side, that is accounts payable module. So so I'll just explain two example for this. So one example is that so I have my item. So again the same soap example I'm taking. Okay. So now if I'm selling my soap, or let's say I'm purchasing this soap, so the GST will be 18%. Okay. So which means that this particular item is tax. So now for this, I don't want to create a plain purchase order and then I will import it into my finance module. and there I'll have to manually go and select the tax rate. Because if I'm doing it through procurement, so the process is completely automated, which means I can use the rules in order to generate this GST rates. If I'm getting this through my this thing, fine. So I'll not be able to generate it automatically. So there I'll have to select the rate because here the that this if this item is selected, this is the rate that needs to be generated. I can write the rule for that, which means that finance team will write the rule for this. Okay, so it will work this way. But here in this case, so I'm taking the second scenario. So wherein I'm doing an Fusion implementation for a gaming company. Okay. For this gaming company, so I am not dealing with any product because if you see, so when we talk about games, it is the service that we provide. Okay,
Yeah.
so now for the service, usually I will not create item master. So what I will do is that in the purchase order screen, so I will specify in the description column. So this is for game A. I'll say this is for the game A. I'm purchasing this particular item. Okay, so now this will become my service. So now I will say this is game A and I will select the category manually. So again, this category is A. Okay, so now based on this selection, I will not be able to exactly determine what is the rate that needs to be applied. So for the scenario, what I will do is that I will create a plain purchase order, so which will give me the service A and price probably say 10,500. Okay, so this is the amount that I will have, which means that I will not have this tax of 5%, let's say 5% tax. So I will not have the taxes added in my purchase order. So this will be in my purchase order, that is 10,500. And now when I create my invoice, so here I will add this manually, that is the 5% tax. Okay, and this is the amount that will be added to that. So now my purchase order value will be 10,500 and invoice will be this 520, which means 11,000 at my invoice, but still it would be 10,500. So this is the particular that that is taxable or not.
Mm-hmm.
So this also for now I'll say if I'm getting the tax, I can I can tax rate here. Okay, so based on which if I'm using so this will work out if I'm talking about the VAT and the other things. So if you are implementing for Middle East, something like what do you call Dubai or some other country, so wherein they have VAT 5%, that is the standard rate they will follow. So for that I can apply here directly. But for India scenario, I'll not be able to attach it here. I'll have to handle it at my rules because for scenario I will have CGST and SGST and for certain area I will have IGST. So now here I have only one field that I can map. So here I'll not be able to only the CGST and only the SGST. So that's the reason we'll have to handle that rules. Okay.
Okay.
So now for the time being, I'm not giving the tax functionality because those are actually handled by finance team. Just enable or disable. So then the buyer, so we create it as buyer. So we have to start the procurement configuration where we create it as buyer, and after as buyer, we will come back to this and we'll attach the buyer. Okay, and these are additional options, that is hazard, because if you see the steel manufacturing units, so there is a company called Teams. Okay, the titanium equipment manufacturing. So now, if I talk about this, so probably I'll have certain hazardous hazardous chemicals that will be used in the process of manufacturing this item, because
Yeah.
this particular item is kind of an gas pipeline wherein this is not a small item that needs to be created. It's a kind of a large item which will take 6 months period to complete one manufacturing process. Okay, so for this, if I want to set the hazard class, so which I can set it here. Okay, so which is again an optional. So if I want to understand the hazard class, so probably in terms of report, I can do that. So for that purpose, we have this. Okay.
Okay.
And then the UN number is unique numbering. And if I want to set the tolerance for my receipt, so I can set the tolerance. And this is what I was referring to, the item classification. So we were talking about the machinery purchase. So machinery, we are considering this as asset item. Now, how do I this is my asset purchase, or this is my regular item, or the raw material is there. So using that. So here, if you see, if I have some value in this field called asset category, which means that this item or the item that I'm creating is for the purpose of uh, asset purchase. Could be the machine, could be laptop, any other asset in the system. Okay, so accordingly, we will have uh, for instance, if you see here, so I will have a computer. Okay, so have a major, and then here I can select whether this is desktop or laptop or whatever it is. Okay, and then I can set the pricing. So that is my purchase price. So using, I want to understand if the profitability, so I can do it. But anyway, the price that we'll be looking at in my purchase order screen, so that can be overridden. So I can enter the purchase price there. Okay, so I'll just leave this field here. And so this is outside processing item. So if this outside processing item, probably I can set it as yes. Now I'll just leave this. Now if you see here, so we have the match level. So whether I want to have two-way, three-way, four-way. So now at what level I will manage whether this is two-way, three-way or four-way is at my purchase order. So even though for this item I give two-way or three-way, so still I will be able to override this information at my purchase order. Okay. So now to understand what is two-way, three-way, four-way is, it's with the invoice when I'm creating this invoice. So whether I'm matching with the purchase order, or whether I'm matching with my purchase order, or whether I'm matching with the receipt, or whether I'm doing the inspection process, I'll get the inspection report. Say inspection report, it is the quality check that we are talking about. So I'll get my quality check report. So once this quality check is done, so that is when I will finalize my matching, or that is when I'll start to create the invoice in the system. Okay. But in
Okay.
case of three-way, once I have created my receipt in the system, so I will start invoicing it. But in case of two-way, so the moment my purchase order is released, so I start matching, I can start creating the in the system by matching my purchase order. Okay, so these are the matching options that we have in the system. So
Okay.
two-way, three-way, and four-way. So that's the one that we will have here. That is either we are matching with order or the receipt. Okay. So this anyway will be used purchase order level. So I'm not giving at item level. So if wanted to specify is when we'll give. So for now I'm not giving this. Okay. So then we have the receiving. So receiving. So how do I want to have? So whether I want to have this as a direct. So direct meaning I'll create only the receipt, which means I will not need the delivery. So that's the option of that. And then I have the standard. So standard is nothing. I have my receipt creation process. I will have my delivery process. So there will be two set of activities. Okay. So finally, I have my inspection. So inspection is something that I will have my receipt creation. I will have my delivery process, and I will have my quality check which will be generated. Once all the process is done, then we say this receiving activity is completed. And then if you see here, so there are certain receipt controls. So if there is a change in the receipt date, so whether I want to give the warning. So there will be certain scenarios wherein I have ordered for let's say 31st of December. But there wherein I might have the enough space in my storage. So in that case, I will not give this option of warning. I'll say reject. I'll not even accept this delivery. Okay. But in case I have enough space and I can handle it, so I'll say it is warning. Or if I want to set the tolerance, like the days early and the days late, so I can give the days limit also. So this is kind of an over receipt. So that is we ordered for 10 quantity and supplier has given the order for 5. So whether I will accept it or I will give the warning or I'll reject it. So that's okay. And these are like unordered receipts and so these are additional options that we have. Okay. So this is for the purchasing. So similarly, I have it for okay, let's say take the inventory.
So Arun, like these specifications, like what options you're showing here. So
Correct.
this usually you'll get the requirement from business saying that
Correct.
uh, okay.
Yeah, so basically we will get the requirement from the business. So during our requirement gathering session, so we will discuss about these items, asking how do we create the items. So whether we have the approval mechanism in this, or then we will ask whether we have this serial number generation. So how do you generate your item number? So whether this is unique number that you are generating as a serial one, or you have alpha numbering, or whether you have lot control in the system, meaning the batch and the other controls, whether you have it. So it,
Mm-hmm.
or whether you have certain items that you will have this as an asset item, or if you want to categorize this, so how do you categorize, or how do you identify basically these are the asset items, or these are the raw material items. So this is how basically we will gather the information from the customer and we will
Mm-hmm.
suggest them that these are the options that needs to be given if I'm creating this asset item or if I'm creating the raw material. So these are the specification that we need to use. But we cannot tell to the business that these are the specification that needs to be used. So that is the reason we are having this option called item class. So now all they will do is that they will select whether that is raw material or that is finished good or that is semi-finished good. So they
Hmm.
are not going to check this specification. So they will just select this item class and they will create the item. Because here if you see the information that we have is as I said, lot of information that we will talk about here. So
Yeah.
lot of controls and these things. So as a consultant for us itself, it's a lot of information that needs to be entered in the system. So
Right.
user cannot do it as day-to-day activity. So that's the reason we are creating this item class basically.
Okay. And this is like this creating an item class or creating these items.
Yeah.
So these are like typically like is it done during the procurement in the module or WMS? Where exactly?
So this will be created when we implement the inventory module. But
Oh,
for us, to have this procurement module configured, so we will need this inventory module configured first. So the sequence for us is something like this. So first the general ledger, okay, and then the business unit and the other functions. So once this is done, so we will have to set it up with the inventory configurations. So once the inventory configurations are done, they will share us the organization name. So once we receive this organization name, so we will intimate to again the accounts payable team. So they will create
Okay.
supplier and the other information. So after that, we will start our procurement configuration. So that is when,
Mm-hmm.
because in procurement, in terms of configuration, if you see, so it's very less actually, if you see, because
Mm-hmm.
we have the requisition business function, we have the procurement business function, and then the approval, and then we have the TAD. So TAD is the bigger setup that we will do. But other than that, if you see, so we don't have much in terms of configuration. But for the inventory and for order management, we have few configurations that needs to
Okay.
be taken care.
Okay.
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 Yeah. Yeah. So maybe I'll just quickly enable this. Okay. So these are understandable. So I'll just say this is inventory item, yes. Whether this is stocked, I'll say yes. And whether I can do a transaction with this, I'll just say yes. Okay. Yeah, so
Okay.
the lot control and these things we have seen when we created the item. So I'll not use it again. So I have enabled the inventory organization here. Okay. And if I want to reserve this item every time, so I can just say yes. But for now, I'm not using.
Reserve for what?
So reserve is something that if I wanted to have a kind of a threshold, so I am having a manufacturing plant wherein I wanted, let's say 5,000 quantity as my reserve stock. So I will not go below this particular reserve. So I will need at least 5,000 quantity in order to run through my production process. Okay, so for
Okay.
this, I will have something called reserve.
Okay.
Okay, so similarly, I'll have this shortage. If there is a shortage, so if I want to check it, I can do that. Okay. And then the revision control, if I want to do it, so probably if I make any changes to my item, so that I want to have the revision control. So for now, I'm not setting the revision controls. Okay. Yeah, and then finally the sales order. I mean the order management module related setups. Okay. So now this particular item, whether we are using for the sales, so usually we will not enable whatever the item that we have given it for purchasing for the order management, because if you see, we give this as an purchasable item and order management item, which means that I am not manufacturing this particular item, but whereas I'm just creating this item system, okay, and I'm just selling it as it is. I will not manufacture or I'll not do any sort of activity in the system. So I'll just procure and I'll just sell. Probably I'll do a different packaging and labeling, but not the more often manufacturing things. Okay.
Okay.
That is when I'll say this is my purchasable item and this is also my item that I'll be used for customer ordered. Okay. Yeah. And then these are the additional options that we enable. So probably if I want to return this item, so whether this return option is allowed or not, so those options I can enable it here. Okay. And then in transfer between one inventory unit to other inventory unit. Okay. And then we have something called order orchestration, that is booking our order. So whether I wanted to enable it for order orchestration, so this we will do it at later point in time. So when we look at the order management session, okay. So by then we'll enable these options. So I'll just say yes only for this. And yeah, so that's all we have here in the screen. Okay, so primarily we have given the mandatory information, but apart from that we also have certain other things called the service, and then the planning module we have it. Okay, so there are other things also. So for instance, if I wanted to look at my costing, so here if you see, so I have not included my costing. So when I will have costing is that, so what would be the effect if I say costing yes, and what would be the effect if I say costing no is that. So let's say I have created this reset. So now let's assume a scenario. So I am doing this project uh, which I will build over a period of time, and I'll sell to a particular customer or set of customer. So now this particular item which I'm procuring, so this is part of my cost. Okay, so this is my expenditure. So similarly, I will have my revenue generated. Okay, accordingly, I'll calculate my profit. So now, in order to transfer this particular expenditure to project module, so I will have to do the costing first and then do the receipt accounting. But if I have selected this as no, which means that costing is not mandatory, so I don't need to use this costing module, because this again comes under subscription. So it's not that all the customers will have the costing module implemented. So if at all we have this costing module as also as part of this implementation scope, so then we will have to enable this. So now for this we'll have to create the cost arc also. Okay. But then, so if there is no subscription, so then we'll say no to this. So if I have this costing subscription, then I'll say yes, and also I'll say roll up the cost. Okay, so that is how this is.
7 o'clock ஆயிடுச்சு. 2.5 மணி நேரமா எடுத்துட்டு இருக்கேன்.
Yeah, so that's about the costing. Okay, so yeah, so these are the mandatory options that we will give. Okay, so I think we have given almost all the specifications. So I'll just say save. Okay, and then I'll just say save and close. Okay, so now we have created the item class. So I'll go back to the item screen. The create item and select the organization, and here, yeah, so since we have selected this as default, so okay, so we just leave this as so. and I'll just say this is active and active. Okay, and the remaining things we have already included. Okay, so the specification. So let me say this. Okay, yeah, so these attributes are filled in from the earlier setups that we have done. So what we will have to do here is that just check if the association is done. So by default, if you see, so this association is already done, and finally the category. Okay. So category again, we'll see when we discuss about the inventory module. Okay. So for now, I'll just pick from this list. Okay. So I'll just say save. Okay. So now the item is created in the system.
Okay.
Okay. So we have completed till the item creation. So the next step is to create the supplier. So any doubt or the question till this point?
Yeah, there are no doubts, but
Okay.
one dilemma what I'm having is the configuration what you showed in the specifications and all, right? Like
Yeah.
if you go to the specification,
Okay.
like you have on the left side, you have these manufacturing, service,
Correct.
inventory.
Right.
So what I'm not getting is like, how do we decide to choose manufacturing and choose create the specification, inventory, choose it, and then define the specification? So this flow I'm not able to follow actually.
Yeah. So this, if you see, so we have not touched this inventory module. So just as an prerequisites, we are looking at it. But
Okay,
each one of it, why we are creating it, so we will discuss when we talk about the inventory module. That's
okay,
the reason, if you see, so I
mm,
primarily touched upon this inventory and purchasing mostly. So even the
okay,
sales order I did not touch mostly because that's the last one that will be covering. Okay.
okay, okay.
So yeah, maybe I'll explain because if so, for example, as I said, if I want to do this costing, so then I'll say so. Similarly, for each one of the parameter that we are saying here, so we will need to understand why we are selecting this option. So that is when we
Mm,
will know that at what requirement or for what requirement we will need to enable this option.
okay.
Okay. So firstly, we'll concentrate on the procurement and probably I'll come back to the inventory. So by then we'll discuss in detail. Maybe even then, if you have any question or anything like on the details section, so each one of the component. So I'll just try to explain with more example or the scenarios.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that is about the item creation. Okay. So okay, can we connect tomorrow because it's 7 actually. So
Sure. So now we are left with suppliers,
yeah,
and then
only
what we will do after that?
so after that I'll take you through the procurement configurations And then we will see the purchase order, requisition, and then the receipt part and invoicing and the payment part. So we'll see
Okay.
as a flow.
Okay. So while we are doing those configurations, we'll be utilizing the ledgers, units, items, suppliers, and organizations. Is it?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So the I created my user on the URL that you gave, right? So I'm able to log in and all. So what do I need to do there? Like
So basically, there you can. So we have seen this first part, that is to create a ledger and this thing. So this is just for the understanding that we created. But then, if you
okay,
want to try this, you can try, or you can use the existing one, that is US primary ledger.
okay,
You can use US primary ledger, okay, and the business unit also you can select Supremo business unit you can select, and
okay. So
you can
we have
start
there
with,
already.
yeah, and then you can start with creating the inventory organization, the basic thing whatever we created today. So you can create one inventory organization, and then create one item class and try to create one item. So if you are able to complete this three activities using this thing, so we should be fine with whatever we have seen till now. Maybe if you have any question or anything, you can ping me or we can discuss tomorrow also.
Okay. All right. Mm. Okay, so what about like will I get any documents like the PDF document, the Oracle Learning
Yeah,
PDF document so that I can go through those?
yeah, sure. I'll try to get one and I'll share it. I'll put in the group.
Okay. So tomorrow at what time we'll meet?
Tomorrow, 9 o'clock,
All right.
9 p.m.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, Arun. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, bye bye.